Any of you like old John Wayne movies? Yeah, okay. Any of you ever ridden out in Moab? You guys, okay, so if you've never been out to Utah, I grew up in Southern California, so that doesn't really mean anything because Utah's far away, but we've gone out to Utah, but around Moab, it's just windy, curvy, wild rides. Yeah, exactly. That's every time someone hears a curvy road, you can tell it's a biker because they're like, yeah, get me on that. I want to ride that ride. This year, if I'm honest, has been probably one of the hardest years of my life. And someone who was a father figure to me, my mentor, the reason I'm in ministry, his name was Hal. And he got up and taught at a church, and he told his congregation, my dad and I are going to leave from this point, and we're going to ride from Arizona. We're going to ride up to Moab because bikers love curvy, windy roads. And his dad was up, probably riding with him, up ahead, and kind of looked back and didn't see Hal. And so kept on riding, and then realized, like, I don't see Hal. And so stopped and waited and waited and waited. In about 45 minutes, decided that I should probably call the police. Calls the state troopers of Utah, and they said, hey, there's been an accident. So he takes back and rides back. And going around one of those curvy roads, Hal lost control and ended up dying. And I talked to him every week. And he was one of the most instrumental voices, like I said, fatherly voices in my life. And it was amazing as I flew out to that funeral and I sat in a room, about 1,500 people from all over the world who'd come in just to pay their respects because this guy truly lived an accessible and invitational life. I mean, it was unbelievable. I actually thought about you all. Because I've had the privilege to do this bike blessing, and I really like you guys. I think it's incredible what you do. I think your community in the church at 9 a.m., right up here whenever I'm teaching, I look for you because you just bring me comfort. And there's just an energy, but then there's this moment where I've gotten up here and I've just prayed a prayer of blessing over your bikes, almost disconnected from ever having a moment of losing someone on a bike. And I will say, at that funeral, the weight, it carried something. And when Cindy asked me to pray a prayer of blessing, I was like, oh, I will. And I've been praying for you since I got that invitation. And so I want you to see something, because in the scriptures, there was this quirky guy. I mean, I think he would have ridden a motorcycle. He had a big old beard. I guarantee you he wore leather. His name was John the Baptist. He ate bizarre food. He just did his own thing. He didn't want to really be near the temple. He wanted to be outside it. He just did his thing, and people were drawn to him. And there was this kind of word that had been spoken years and years prior. And he had almost taken it upon himself to say, that's my mandate, that's my manifesto, that's my anthem, that's going to be the thing that I live my life for. And here's what he said. This is this. These words that were written. A voice of one calling in the wilderness, prepare the way for the Lord, make straight paths for him. Every valley shall be filled in, every mountain and hill made low. The crooked road shall become straight, the rough ways smooth, and all people will see God's salvation. I just thought that was such a beautiful passage, because what's amazing is John the Baptist said, you know what my job is to do? Is to take crooked roads and make them straight. My job is to lower and get rid of any obstacle so that people can actually see what I have inside, the grace and the peace. And that's my prayer for you this season. Sure, you all better ride crazy, curvy roads. Do it. No point in having a bike if you won't ride those. But when you're on those bikes, when you're off those bikes, when you're walking in Jewel or restaurants or pubs or wherever you go, I pray that every person would be drawn in to see something unique and special about you. That somehow they wouldn't see the strength and the leather, but they'd see something that's real and honest and human, something that has been redeemed and restored, some sense of hope and peace that you've experienced through Christ. And so I'd love just to pray a prayer over your bikes, over your safety, over your families, and over your heart, and over the chance that this riding season, that people will actually see something in you and begin to ask some questions, and you'll get to talk about what's real, what's true, and what you stand for. God, we know that you are the great protector. And the scriptures say that you go before us, and yet you stand with us. And even in the midst of pain or shame or anything that we've ever done in the past, your scriptures say that you just are there, waiting to be invited in. And God, I pray over every one of these bikes right now. I pray for safety, provision, protection. God, as these men and women, fathers and mothers, husbands and wives, grandparents, get on their fat boys, their Harleys, their Triumphs, whatever they ride, God, I pray as they ride, their eyes would be able to see clearly. God, I pray that there would just be a hedge of protection around them as they ride on the highways or the curvy roads. God, we live in a culture where many drivers don't respect motorcycles. They don't think of them. They think it's their road. God, I pray that you would just protect drivers. Allow them to see these beautiful bikes and beautiful people. Keep them safe. And God, I pray that during this riding season, that the joy that these riders have, these HighRoad riders have, that there would be something, whether it's at a Woodstock Harley dealership, whether it's in Rockford at a breakfast joint, whether it's somewhere that McNally has led them into the middle of nowhere. God, I pray that there would be such real community, honesty, truth, and grace that people are just drawn in. And it's in those moments, may they see something that's higher and greater and bigger and stronger than anything they could have ever dared to imagine to be true about you, God. Use this community. Make them a compelling force for good in our world and keep them safe. Keep them safe. I know that there's been a number of people who had their bikes dropped this past season, and you kept them safe, God, and we say thank you. Thank you, thank you. We ask for more of that safety. We pray all this in your name, and everyone said, Amen. Amen.